Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bushwhacking History here on Bushwhacking History in Buffalo. I have my friend and fellow unbearable LibertysteadBear here, excuse me, as a special guest. So what you see on screen is the thumbnail that I put out for this. And if anybody could tell me how everything is going as far as audio and visual in the chat, I see Hall Longbear, Whoop Fitness, brother-in-law. How are you? So real quick, what we're going to be doing today, this is just effectively a hip fire gaming episode that we've been, LibertyStead, how long have we been planning to have this? I know I've been kind of putting it on the back burner, unfortunately, but
months
we're going to go, yeah, a couple months, man. So again, I apologize, but thank you for being patient with me. You know, I got a lot of stuff going on as far as family, working full time and stuff like that. So my bad for having to postpone it, but all's well that ends well. And we're finally here. So for my viewers and, bears in the chat, we'll say what's up. And I appreciate if you guys stay vigilant on the mods. We're going to do a history of gaming, classic games, classic consoles, as you can see on the screen right now. If we got to share, we'll go over these consoles. I went to the Strong Museum in Rochester that features a gaming section, Hall of Fame gaming section. I'll show you pictures of that with my family. But without further ado, and before I start rambling too much, LibertysteadBear, why don't you just introduce yourself right quick, how you got involved with, the Bears and the Unbearables, what that community means, and just a real quick summation, and then your interest in games and how you had the, getting these inquiries from other Bears, not just about the research, because another thing that I do is pop culture research. And if you look at my IG, you can get there from my YouTube page, as you see on the screen now, bottom right. My Instagram page, I post a lot of pop culture stuff, whether it's music, movies, or games, because there's a lot of truth drops in all of it. And we go through the Tavistock stuff, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. So I appreciate when I get inquiries, offshoot inquiries. Like this one, you're like, I remember you said a couple months ago, like when we were saying, yes, well, we should do a gaming episode. And I'm like, bro, yes, for sure. And then things happen and it goes on the back burner, but we're here now. So LibertysteadBear, just a brief introduction. I am, family man, faithful man. That's one thing that us Bears have in common. We're a Christian community and we like gravy, which is really cool, interesting stuff with what's going on in the realm. And we'd like to share it. And with, being able to have another Bear on and talk gravy, I'm humbled. So I'll be quiet and just introduce yourself and what you got going on. What about what's going on with gaming? What do you think?
Well, been around since the Why Didn't They Laugh streams, which honestly, if anybody's ever not watched any of them, they need to go back and watch them. They're as relevant when they started as all of the modern videos for the Bears.
This is talking about Owen Benjamin, the Big Bear.
Yep. And
comedian.
His podcast that he used to critique his joke writing and how he would show how a joke worked and how it didn't work. And it's basically the birthing of the Bears. And I started listening to it back then before he was on Crowder, and then followed him onto that. And obviously we know how that went down, and how it progressively got worse after he left. But that being said, I never knew I was as addicted to what we call gravy as I am. And even though I, in my 20s, decided at some point that I was going to stop assuming that I knew everything and accept truth from no matter where I found it and no matter who said it. You got to have discernment, but you really have to allow truth to be what it is. And so I kept that as a philosophy up all the way until now, and I hold to it. I mean, it doesn't matter who it comes from, whether you agree with them or not. If they speak truth, they speak truth. and you just got to have the discernment to recognize that's what it is. So
Real recognizes real. I say it a lot.
right. And I've learned things from people I completely disagree with, and that's good. It's good to recognize perspectives on things, because that is our biggest problem, is that we all have this, not all, a lot of us have a narrow-minded perspective and aren't willing to try and look at things from a perspective that you're not comfortable with or that you've ever even heard of before.
Great point.
As for video gaming, I mean, I never had an Atari, but I played it. I was NES, Super Nintendo, Sega, Genesis, um, PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4. Um, I had, oh, man, it's funny because my kids have what they call Raspberry Pi now. And that my brother built for them. And that my boys have more video games than I ever played in my entire life on a little tiny box. And they have no idea the access to the gravy and the truth drops that are in video games. And they don't even recognize them yet. But the good thing is that I try to instill things in them to recognize things like that. I mean, my favorite old school game would have been Zelda. I played every single one of them. And even though I've graduated up into more adult versions of that now with like The Witcher, I still get a lot from the deepness of video games like Deus Ex, which is probably the biggest conspiracy theorist game out there that doesn't get its due.
What was the name of that again? Liberty Stead?
Deus Ex.
Oh, I'm not familiar. I'll have to check that
You
one
should
out.
look it up. Any conspiracy theorist, it talks about things that we were dealing with over the last 2 years in a video game that came out in the 90s.
Wow, really? So what console was it on? This will get us into
It crossed over multiple consoles, I believe. And there was multiple versions of it, so, or multiple sequels. And so it has major truth drops from politics to certain things that people are afraid to catch, all kinds of stuff in it. That the best way to explain it is like it's a conspiracy theorist hero's journey is what Deus Ex was.
wow. What do you Deus Ex?
I think it's Deus and then X, I believe. That's what it is.
Well, this is why I have Hipfire. How do you spell it again? Let's check it out.
I think it's Deus space EX.
Gina. All right, so here we go. So, oh,
There you
wow,
go.
never even heard of
Well,
this.
no,
So
Deus Ex Machina is about
different.
androids. That's a movie. Deus Ex was the video game. It's called
this is pretty.
The newest one was called Mankind Divided.
We're already getting into some obscure stuff here.
Right.
Game. Should dropping. I never even heard of that game. Libertystead.
Okay. It is from the Latin phrase Deus Ex Machina, which means God from the machine.
Look at how thick this Wikipedia is. Oh my goodness,
dude! If you've never heard of this, this will take you months to get through, and then it's so in depth on conspiracies.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to read this real quick. So, Deus Ex is a 2000 action role-playing RPG developed by Ion Storm and published by Eidos Interactive. Set in a cyberpunk-themed dystopian world of the year 2052. The game allows for J.C. Denton, an agent of the fictional agency United Nations Anti-Terrorist Coalition, UNATCO, interesting, who is given superhuman abilities by nanotechnology. Whoa. as he sets out to combat hostile forces in a world ravaged by inequality and a deadly plague. Look at the wow, this dude knocked it out of the firmament right away, announcing your presence with authority there, Liberty Stead. Wow, I'll have to look into this further. So here we go. His missions entangle him in a conspiracy that brings him into conflict with Triads, Majestic 12. Wow, that's Truman's bunch, I believe, and the Illuminati. So you got Triads from Japan, you got the Majestic 12, Harry Truman bunch, and then oh boy, we're already going to be getting grappled. We said the word Illuminati. Interesting, bro. Wow. So you beat it?
No, it's a very long game. And it's very deep. You have to want to be, you have to want to get through it. It's not necessarily difficult, but it's so deep that like you'll get caught up in a conspiracy that you're interested in, and you'll just keep one, just like we do, just how we're addicted to gravy. As soon as we find something, we just keep pulling that string, and that's how that game is. That's why you'll get pulled off onto things.
Very cool. That's the kind of stuff that I wanted to get into here with that. So has anybody in the so you mentioned Zelda, but has anybody heard in that hey, what's up there, Hall Long Bear? You got to get back over here for some dinner, brother. You got Homestead Fielding. Compliments to Homestead Fielding. I got the great audio that you hear. She contributed my Blue Yeti mic to the Bushwhacking History fund over here. So thank you very much, Homestead Fielding, aka Laura Bear. EBT, what's up, man? You in here? You trying to troll, bro? You trying to get some feedback? Good to see you, man. EBT, you're fun. You and Chalk, man. You guys, I don't agree with everything you guys say and everything. We put it out there, but you guys are hilarious. I appreciate you stopping by for real. But yeah, you want to say Zelda? So okay, I was scrolling by pictures, and we'll go back. But my brother, when we were getting ready for this, remember I texted you the other day, just out of the blue. My brother sent me this, like right in the middle when I was getting stuff ready and concocting the channel. My brother sent me this. But and that reminds me, my brother. So my brother, my direct brother, my older but smaller, shorter brother, sent me this randomly, which is cool. But that kind of ties into what you said about Zelda being a classic OG game, and that's a good place to start this whole our shindig here. And I got something to read off regarding, this is nostalgic and stuff like that, and we're looking back in the past. And I think it's important to distinguish and let people know that it's okay to look back in the past, but to live in it and to, want to be everything like it was back in the day, you got to be able to draw the line somewhere. Okay. I'm hyper nostalgic, but I don't live in the past. I certainly look back and appreciate it, but we got to keep our eye on what's, to liken it to trucking. My father was a trucker, and Hall Longbear is a trucker, but my father would always tell me, keep your eye on the road ahead of you, a strong, firm grip on the wheel, and watch what's going on way ahead of you. Watch what's going on medium way, and then right in front of you. Pay attention. Though we also have to look into the rear view every so often, right? So with that metaphor, I guess if you could take it like that, it's okay to look back and appreciate your nostalgia. It's what made you who you are now, but don't live in the past because, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. It's good to know what happened in the past because like what's happened now with the Rona, who's to say that it's dissimilar from what happened in the, during the plague. So yeah, it's I think that's an important point to note, and maybe you can expand on that a little bit. If not, no big deal. But for me being hyper nostalgic, like I said, sometimes I could find myself, not yearning for it to be like it was in the 90s. And you sound like an old man when you say something like, oh, it was easier times back in the day. And even, Big Bear was sitting on that today. It's like, there was a lot of grabble going on then too. And it's a good point to note. So, yeah, what did you think about that? We'll get into it. So nostalgia is good. Appreciate where you came from. Appreciate those memories and the times that you had making those memories, but don't live in the past. Appreciate it for what it is. Take insight from it. Use it going forward. But you can't always look in the rear view while you're driving because obviously what'll happen. So,
well, speaking of automotive, I actually am in the automotive field. I work for one of the big three,
okay.
and I understand the nostalgia thing, but there are some things that, even though I'm not saying we're better in the 90s, there were things that were built better prior to now, because we keep going towards this entropy style of um, material things, and it's in vehicles too. Vehicles now and engine parts and whatnot are built to stop working at a certain point. So like I drive old pickups. I drive a 94 F-150 and a 91 Ford Ranger. They are built better than the ones today. And the further you go back in automotive, technically things were built better and easier for you to work on. The company I work for directly, vehicles were made for you to be able to do stuff with by yourself without ever having to take it to a dealership. Nowadays, things are built so that you have to take it to a dealership. You don't have a choice. As for what you were saying about history rhyming, the Spanish influenza of 100 years ago, they did all the exact same things. Every single thing you can think of that they did the last 2 years, they did 100 years ago. But nobody wants to look back that far. You're muted.
Yeah, great point. Great point. It's you know what, when you say that, what harkens to me is the whole Tavistock idea of now the reason why I want to do this gaming thing is because, well, first of all, you came up with a great idea of it, and you're the OG with we're going to get into God of War. It's kind of interesting. OG, GO, God of War, well, GOD. I never played God of War. I was an Assassin's Creed dude, so we'll be able to ping back and forth off that. I'm interested to see your take on God of War and what it is and the summation of it, because I think that Assassin's Creed somewhat is a little bit of a massive truth drop. Actually, the whole loading in of the scenery and the visceral experience around you is very similar to the metaverse right now. And if one of the Iron Man Bear driving home, he was in Idaho, actually. That's Iron Man Bear. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, I was like I'm not sure what I was getting at with that.
Truth drops in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and you got God of War. So but Zelda, you mentioned Zelda before, and I want to shout out to my brother-in-law. Keep your eyes on the he beat Zelda when he was real young, real quick, and it was influential for him, and he's a big time gamer too. And but he knows to distinguish between looking back and appreciating your nostalgia and being overwhelmed with it. You got to draw that line. Everything in moderation. So yeah, my brother-in-law, Whoop Fitness here, everybody shout him out. Jordan, good man, and he crushed Zelda back in the day. So even before, so that the whole thing with like role-playing games and everything, there's the documentary that I watched on gaming. I was looking for gaming documentaries, and I found one about Tony Hawk, and we'll play some clips of that real quick and see what's going on here. We'll go in the chat, and I'm going to bounce back and forth. I don't have I sent you that outline, but if you have anything that you want to bring up beforehand, we're going to try to stick to that, and we'll cite some old games, like I said, the old consoles. And if anybody has any input from oh yeah, of course, Jordan. Anybody has any input from the chat, any questions you have specifically, or cool old game consoles, we're going to show a couple clips right now of this documentary just to give a general overview of the history of gaming. And after the show is over, I'll make sure to have every relevant link listed in the description below. But yeah, so what you see on screen, for example, this will be a quick thing of what we could do for the hijinks and what's going to be fun tonight. So you got Zelda on screen, you got 007. You ever played 007 GoldenEye? That's one of the better. When you say shoot 'em up games, I'd like to distinguish that too, because the clips that we're going to show, or I'd like to actually highlight that, the controversy. You'll hear a little bit about that with the shoot 'em up games. and the relevant news about that and how everybody thought it was going to be, people were going to go in and do Columbine, yada, yada. We could talk about that too. And I think it'll come up in the general course of showing all these clips. So GoldenEye, I put a clip out on my IG post. You can get to it again for my YouTube page. But for example, this will be a tone. This will express the tone of what we're going to be doing here tonight. And hopefully it's not going to go too long. We'll probably be here an hour and a half or so. But like when I say hijinks, I like to show stuff like this too. So bear with me. Keep GoldenEye in mind. That game was classic.
Hey, just wanted to see how that pause music was coming along. Now keep in mind, this is a movie tie-in video game from the Nintendo 64. Not looking for anything too crazy. What do you think about this?
Hilarious, right? So that's GoldenEye, or 007. That was I played. That was on N64, right? And I played that. That was around high school, and that was such a big game that I had PlayStation. Oh, geez, PlayStation 1, and that was the time when I was playing Final Fantasy 7. So let me tell that story right quick, and then we'll show the clips of that documentary. Okay. And anybody can find this documentary on YouTube. You just type in gaming documentary Tony Hawk, and we're going to show a couple clips from that. But for example, so when we first got the PlayStation, we'll talk about the jumps between consoles. Like I didn't have the Atari, I had a Nintendo, and then it was Sega, right? And then the jump from Sega to PlayStation 1 was like huge because it was going from the cartridges to the disc. Now the story that I told you briefly beforehand, but I'll tell for the viewers because it's a good one. So when we were making that jump from Sega to PlayStation 1, right? My brother was going to the store to get the PlayStation, and we had agreed on that he was going to get cool borders, like we talked about the snowboarding game. And super pumped about that because I was a rollerblader. Okay. Go easy in the chat. I hung out with the skateboarders, of course, but snowboarding was super. I never did it really. My brother does now, but back then I never snowboarded. Just thought it was cool to get the game cool borders. So he comes home and he's got a game called Final Fantasy 7. And I'm like, I never heard of it before. Okay. I'm like, Kevin, what is this? I'm like, role-playing game? You got to be kidding me. And then you put it in, and if you're not used to a role-playing game, and I was looking for a fast snowboarding game, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So long story short, that was right before he actually had left to go to New York City for school. So this is around like 97, 98 time period. He had left. So, I mean, if he was still home, the PlayStation would have been his, right? I'm the younger brother. And back then I was the smaller brother still, right? So needless to say, if he was home, it would have been in his room. But he left to college and went away to New York City. He went to John Jay College in New York City, and he was there during 9/11, actually. 3 of my buddies were my brother and 2 of my other buddies. Anyway, so he went away, and I had the PlayStation. And I'm like, all right, well, it's the only game that we got. Might as well pop in Final Fantasy 7. And darned it if it wasn't probably the best game that I've ever played. And it still is rated as one of the best games ever made to this day. If anybody is not familiar with it, Final Fantasy 7 for PlayStation 1 is definitely touted as one of the best games ever made. Do you got any thoughts on that right quick? I thought that was a good story, interesting story to break the ice as far as getting my brother in the mix. But
even though I know about Final Fantasy, I never played it. I'm not,
okay.
Even though I love the role-playing games that I love, I can't stand turn-based. It drives me crazy. I'm too impatient to deal with turn-based style. Even though I understand that Final Fantasy
Tell me about it.
Is almost a movie that you get to interact in. I could never deal with. I was always into action RPGs, so like if I could directly do things in time, it was better. If I had to wait my turn to try to hit something back, it drove me crazy.
Interesting. So let's take as we're going hip fire. That's like why I like to have so turn-based RPG is like when the battle scene is not open and fluent where everyone's going at one time. A good way to describe the juxtaposition between that is there's a game that came out for PlayStation 2, the Lord of the Rings game for PlayStation 2 was phenomenal in the fighting aspect. Final Fantasy VII and role-playing games are distinguished between everybody gets a turn in an attack form, which is very cumbersome, especially if you're not used to it. There's not really a direct definition for it.
It reminds me of Revolution, not Revolution, pre-Revolution, American Revolution fighting, where one side would line up their guys and they would all shoot. And while the other ones are loading, the other side loads up and shoots. So everybody's getting their turn back and forth. But that guerrilla fighting of hands-on really fast wasn't there yet.
Let's see if I can show a picture of it. So here you go. Yeah, like in role-playing, every person that you see like standing off gets a turn. So you're not doing it all at once. That's one distinguishing thing for, is that what you said, turn-based? Well, that would be a definition for turn-based. And Jordan, my brother-in-law, Zaralath, what's up, man? Good to see you. Is really well placed with exciting camera shot. Yeah, it's so the panoramic camera shots. Good point there, Zaralath. It was cool, but if you're not used to it though, and like you're more used to the fluent action of a fighting game, like the Lord of the Rings for PlayStation 2, that game was phenomenal. That's why I like, as I talk about it, we'll jog our memory. Go through history picks, Strong Museum. Yeah, so we'll get to the Strong Museum because that'll give us a history of the. We'll actually probably do that right now, and then show some of these clips. But actually, let's show a couple clips from this Tony Hawk gaming documentary. Please stay on point, guys. Golden Ladle, what's up, man? Absolute crusher, dropping knowledge. Check him out. Everybody go sub to Golden Ladle. Pay attention. Okay. Yeah. And also pay attention for if this gets cut out a little bit, because I did screen record this on 1.25 speed. That's a good data tip for you people who are interested in making videos. If you're going to screen record something from a video, although this video wasn't monetized, so I don't think it was like a copyrighted, but sometimes they'll cut me off if I'm playing a video. So just pay attention. We'll play a couple clips from this documentary, the Tony Hawk documentary on gaming, just to get some general foundation, and we'll keep going.
Jump to 1966. A little device called television had made it into almost every living room in America. It was a cultural phenomenon, but to Ralph Baer, Vice President of Engineering at electronics giant Sanders Associates, it was a business opportunity.
The concept was this: 40 million TV sets out there in the U.S. alone. If I could hit 1% of that, that's 400,000, and attach some gadget to 400,000 sets. I got a business.
Got to make a market. You just catch his name is Bear, but it's spelled B-A-E-R. When I was listening to that earlier, I'm like, what? Bear? Another sync. All right, so that was introduction of that. Let's play the next one.
Bear needed his play device to fit on a shelf. So that didn't give his little brown box much room for processing power. He wasn't doing much better than old Higgy, just 2 dots moving on a screen. No way this was going to set the world on fire. Then it hit him. A blockbuster breakthrough that would blow the roof off of home entertainment forever. 3 spots.
The third spot became a ball that made it.
Y'all remember Pong? Who's in the chat remembers Pong?
Into a ping pong game or into a tennis game. Once we had that third ball going back and forth, we knew we had something.
By 1971, Bear's bosses had patented the brown box and licensed it to television manufacturer Magnavox. Now called Odyssey, it began showing up at various trade fairs around the country.
The Odyssey was the hit of the show, and I had a hard time not getting up in my seat and jumping up and down and saying, "That's my baby."
Okay, here's what's interesting, because when I was at the Strong Museum, let me pop this up very quick and pull some more pictures. So as I was listening to this, I was remembering. So I went to the Strong Museum in Rochester, Museum of Strong, very cool attraction in Rochester. They have a gaming section, like I said. And as I was watching that documentary, I was remembering seeing some of this stuff here at the Hall of Fame. There goes the family right there. My beautiful wife, Rachel, my little baby girl, Kylie. And there goes your boy. The Strong Museum, pretty cool. Shout out to some Rochester Bears living in and around the city over there. Dragon Bear, Prosciutto Bear, and Rad Bear, all in and around Rochester. So here we go. Let's do a little quick history of the Strong Museum. It's from Margaret Woodbury Strong. And we'll read this. Margaret Woodbury Strong, 1897 to 1969, appreciated both play and learning. She excelled at archery, golf, and bowling, but also enjoyed gardening, flower arranging, and especially collecting. She founded the Strong in 1968, and the museum opened to the public in 1982. Thanks to her generosity, millions of people have played and learned among the collections she amassed and the exhibits and programs she made possible. A passionate collector, Margaret Woodbury Strong's collection began with the playthings given to her as a child and grew with those she acquired as an adult. She eventually amassed an unsurpassed collection of hundreds of thousands of dolls, toys, games, and other items that celebrate play. Today, the Strong continues to build those collections as we explore the many ways, past and present, that Americans play. So there goes the relevance for you as far as Berserker Bear and what I do here in researching history. Thought that would be good foundation. So here you go. This is the I believe this is the Atari. Are you familiar with this? Do you see what's on the screen here?
That is the Channel F system, so that's
Channel-
pre-Atari.
Pre-Atari? Okay, gravy. So that's the insight here. Anybody in the chat got some insight here? Sending good vibes from Aurora, Ontario. Welcome. Oh, Canada, what's up? Homestead feeling. Come back in the chat. Prometheus Peanut. I love that name. Good to see you. All right, so we're good here, caught up on the chat. So Channel F. So yeah, as I was watching that documentary, things popped up from here. And this place is pretty cool. Whereabouts are you located, LibertyStead? I'm sorry if you've told me before and I forgot.
Central Wisconsin.
Okay, there you go. So if you're ever in and around New York State, around Rochester, definitely check this place out. My daughter loved it. And lo and behold, it had a history of gaming. So here we go. From then and now, 50 years ago, if you could play electronic games, they ran only on massive university and government computers. In the 1970s, though, games entered the arcade and then the home. So they came through the arcade, then into your home. Eventually, they commandeered our computers and consoles, and then our cell phones, penetrating our daily lives. As computer games became cheaper, faster, and better, more people played them, and they played them more often and in more places. Yeah, go figure. Like I was saying with the nostalgia thing, it's good to look back and appreciate, but you can't immerse yourself in it fully, just like the games. Yes, we're gamers. Yes, we appreciate it, but you think I'm sitting here doing nothing but gaming? No. Luckily, my job is such where I have the ability to research while I'm doing my job, and I'm working from home, grateful, but everything in moderation. Except for your faith, right? Okay, computer games take off. In the 1980s, designers wrote increasingly complex digital games for new computers like the Commodore 64 and Amiga. Parents loved Brother Buns. Not sure. Parents love Brother Buns, where in world is Carmen. Oh, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Remember that game? And other educational games that made learning fun. Some developers adapted strategy board games or role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons. The most interactive titles such as SimCity, was that the right one, showcase unique styles of computer play. So this Strong Museum had a whole myriad of information about it. And there we go. That's the one that everybody remembers. They got the light gun for duck hunt. You got any gravy on this stuff as we go?
That was my first console, was the Nintendo, and we played the crap
Same.
out of it. So none of my kids understand blowing in a cartridge, sliding it in just right enough to have it drop down so that it would work.
Exactly. That's the kind of stuff I wanted to get into here. Like, yeah, huffing in it. And sometimes you had to get real gangster and rub it with a Q-tip with some rubbing alcohol on it. If
Or
it had
put
some,
it in your shirt and blow through your shirt.
yeah. Yeah, and then and then the next step up was Sega, right? How, I remember these games bring back memories. You got Altered Beast. Oh yeah, I want to play one of the coolest games. Another, well, this will bring in the truth drops about like how we'll talk about the Lego lifts and how some games show truth, whether it's the nature of the realm, like Minecraft, it's all blocks, or like I was showing you with Assassin's Creed, or any clips that you want me to bring up of God of War. We're going to talk about that when we get to it. But for example, does anybody remember a game called Marble Madness for Nintendo? It's one of the funnest games ever. And it's the graphics. Here's the deal. The graphics back in the day, you young kids out there, you're spoiled. The games are amazing. So much so that they're almost not as fun because they put so much in and there's nothing left to wonder about, if that makes any sense. But one of my favorite games for Nintendo was Marble Madness, and I'm going to play a quick clip right now. So yeah, we're going back and forth here, showing clips of games, hijinks, funny clips, lending insight when we can. LibertysteadBear and I. So I hope you enjoy it. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're going to be going for a little bit longer, but let's show a clip of Marble Madness here. And keep in mind the block nature of the way it's set up. Now, the nature of the game is it's a puzzle game, and you have to guide your ball around the obstacles and get to the finish line. That's it. That's simple. And it was super fun to play. Here we go. The music was great too. Now I could just imagine some kids watching this right now being like, what are you talking about? This was some of the funnest stuff ever. And when I say nature of the block realm, notice how it's flat. And with my research, I've put out the notion that the Terra could be made of, I say Lego liths or whatever. I still don't know yet. I say that as just a interchangeable word for megaliths and stuff like that. But there are a lot of games that show block stuff like that. Let me play another one real quick just to show an example of truth drops coming through in block form. This will be from Assassin's Creed. Oh man, I forget which one, when they're in England. That was a good one.
Marble Madness game reminds me of Q*bert.
Did you ever hear that one? Dude, you know what? Here goes let's play another one. I'm not Assassin's Creed, we'll get to it, but this is another blocky one, chunky blocks. This is Intelligent Cube. Now this was on a demo disc back in the day for PlayStation 1. That's one cool thing about the PlayStations back in the day. They had, when you bought a new game, they would have a demo disc where it had like a little short playing like of like 15, 20 other games, and some of them were hidden gems like such. Check this one out.
First stage.
Now another puzzle game where you had to try to stay on top of this thing, and the blocks would fold over and try to knock you off, and you had a couple tools in your belt to either make one disappear, or I forget exactly, but it was a really cool puzzle game. Notice the flat nature of it, and again the blocks, the Legoliths. Perfect. What do you think about that one? You ever hear that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the block stuff reminds me of Qbert.
What's Qbert?
Qbert was a block style video game that I think you had to jump around and avoid other bad guys.
Was it
It
now?
was all blocks.
Really? Okay. Let's hip fire that one, bro. Hide. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to start closing some of these. Bear with me. Again, it's with the hip. That's a cool. That game was super fun to play. All right, now you said Qbert, and it's got a cube. So I would also mention Minecraft for cube games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I say truth drops. Like, being in the Unbearables, the bear community. It's not a globe as we're told. I'm not saying it appears flat. The whole system could be round, though.
Right. We don't make claims that we know what it is. We just know what it isn't.
Thank you. That's why I love talking with bears, man. You can finish my sentence for me. So yeah, Minecraft has the block cubey realm style thing too. Oh, look at they must have used a fisheye lens for this one, huh?
Exactly.
How dare they?
Exactly.
All right. So what's Qbert, yo? How do you spell that?
Look it up. You're gonna be like this. It's Q. That's Qbert, but that's not how it's spelled.
Oh, it looks from
Q and then Bert.
Oh, okay, got you. Q.
Like,
oh boy.
QAnon.
Yeah. Watch out for those Al Gore rhythms, bro.
So
okay, that looks super familiar.
You can tell it had influence on Minecraft.
Yeah, look at that. Great point right there. Blocky. What's not? So here, when I say that, I don't know what these block things represent. I just know that I see them in a lot of different places. And then we'll do Assassin's Creed, the blocky one right here. Lego. I call them Legoliths because, I think the Terra blocks out into blocks normally if it's official Terra made from God's creation. And then obviously we pour in forms of concrete. So then after time goes and layers stack up, I had videos on this. It's hard to differentiate. You know what I mean? You have this outcroppings of tors now, and then when you look at the sedimentary layers in textbooks, it's always got that one layer that looks like bricks, but it's like from the Ordovician period. It's like, is that a brick wall? Here goes Assassin's Creed. Again, with the Legoliths. This is in the load scene. We'll get into this more. We're going to detail I'll detail Assassin's Creed quickly, and I want to know what's going on with God of War. But so this is the load screen for Assassin's Creed, and he's in the Adamus, and it's loading up because Assassin's Creed, effectively, they do mysteries throughout time, and they load memories into you. You actually play memories. So a whole visceral, for example, Old England from the 1800s will be loaded in through this Animus technology, which he's in right now. It's in a loading sequence, but the loading sequence is such that it's a bunch of blocks that appear as you run forward. And as I'm playing it, I'm just like, whoa, is this a truth drop? That's crazy. Blocky blocks, chunky Legoliths. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Type of deal.
So I love Assassin's Creed. I thought Assassin's Creed was something that was way ahead of its time. I still think that technically this technology is possible. I listened to a guy named Rupert Sheldrake, and he's a guy who did the heck is that? What is that? That thing where TED Talk. He is the only one that has a banned TED Talk because his TED Talk was on the science delusion and how science has basically been turned into religion. Well,
Yeah.
one of his other things he talks about is morphic resonance, and that every cell, every atom is broken down into the same type of thing, but the difference is the imprinting of the design inside the cell. So the atom or the cell of a flower will only ever turn into a flower. The cell of a human will only ever turn into a human. Well, morphic resonance also goes into memory. That they did a study on rats, that rats on one side of the world learned a trait, and then descendants of rats on the other side of the world learn that trait faster. And so there is something to a collective memory, and that humans, animals, we have this ability to learn from each other and learn from each other's experience. Some people will call that Akashic records, but this morphic resonance that things will only become what they were designed to become, and that there is something to humans and animals being able to learn things with ever after actually learning them from each other, that we learn them faster. And I've noticed that with my own children, things that I took a long time to learn, they learned much faster than me in a much shorter amount of time.
Wow, that's gravy. That also kind of harkening on my astronomy background. There's a term for that in these wizards, we'll call them in a friendly term. Quantum entanglement, the whole notion of like when you say that either the Aether or the Akashic record, or how they posit and or at least have observed through experiments, whether it's obviously you can't observe atoms across the scale of the universe, like what they say how big the universe is, but they do say that two different atoms can communicate simultaneously, allegedly across 70 billion light years, because of a thing called quantum entanglement, where when they're created into creation, they will always have a connection because of the quantum entanglement. That's how the astrophysicists describe it. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, and he was never really into the whole quantum mechanical stuff because he didn't like the quantum foam and the randomness of it. He was more involved with the macro aspect of bodies falling in a vacuum. And, as in the bear community, we all know that, well, suspect that Einstein might have been a construct, whatever. I don't want anybody to get triggered, but even Einstein himself said that there's no experiment that can be done to either prove or disprove the movement of the earth. So what that means is Einstein said that you can't prove the earth is moving, nor can you prove it's stationary, but it cancels out, right? So also Einstein said that he didn't like, I speak of him in reverence, but if he's a constructed thespian, it is what it is. This is what we were provided from academia, though, that he's exalted. And he said that he doesn't like to believe in quantum mechanics because he liked to believe that the moon is still there when he's not looking at it. Now you think, wait, what did Einstein say? He literally said that he doesn't really placate to quantum mechanics because what they say is that the universe doesn't appear until you look at it, or it's not. There's no way to prove that something is there unless you're looking at it.
There's gravy there with what you were showing on Assassin's Creed, because if you don't look in that direction,
good point.
What you're
not
seeing doesn't appear in front of you. So as soon as you turn around, that stuff disappears, and as you're walking forward, the things come into focus.
Great take on that. I didn't even put it like that. Yeah, but here's it. Like, yeah, there's something to that, right? The Akashic record, or you call it, Christians would call it the Holy Spirit, right? Without getting into the Trinity of things. But I respect that too. So yeah, and then the Hindis call it the Akashic record. Like everything that has ever happened can be accessed in the Aether. And I believe that, right? I believe that that's what they're talking about when they're trying to explain the event horizon of a black hole. Like all the history that everything that has ever went into a black hole, allegedly sucked into it, is transposed in a holographic form on its event horizon, the surface of the black hole. Once you get inside, you start dealing with quantum mechanics mixed with gravy. and they don't know what's going on, especially at the singularity. It's interesting. I wonder if that's paralleled because of how they try to describe the black holes. Allegedly, this is a side tangent, but there was a very high level professional disagreement between Stephen Hawking and another theoretical physicist called what's his name off the top of my head? I should know that. I should know this. But they were arguing whether or not information is lost when it goes into a black hole. And Hawking was saying that it is lost because once the black hole evaporates, that information is gone. The other gentleman was saying, no, that can't happen. It violates the principle of energy conservation, yada, yada. Man, I can't believe that I can't remember his name. Anyway, the way around that was what they said was when information, or for example, when they see information, that means like if a planet gets sucked into a black hole, it doesn't disappear because all of the information is still traced on the shell of it. This is getting into some crazy theoretical physicists, physics, but it stands to mention. I wonder if they're actually paralleling that whole Akashic record in constructs like that with astronomy. But I digress, and we'll get back to the gaming. So, yeah, I got a background in astronomy. If you can't tell, every so often I like to poke my chest out on how much I know about it, but it's all just constructs. You know, I got all my books over there that I've read, and I hang my head sometimes, man, when I realize how over the top I was with how much I liked it, and now I believe it to be all fake. But it is what it is. What are you gonna do? Onward, as we say in Bertaria, you know. All right, so you got anything to add to that, or was I just rambling?
We had a lot more reverence for things when we didn't have TVs to look at all the time, and we would go outside and look up at the stars.
Exactly. I was talking about that in my conversation with Stuntman Bear. It's almost like the astronomy is the magician's trick. Look here, not there, you know, and look at what's going on. We still don't know literally the nature and the true essence of our realm, our Earth, you want to call it. But we want to try to land on Mars.
But speaking of astronomy, I do a lot of scriptural study, and there is something about shooting stars in scriptures that I
Ladle.
give you a little insight on.
I'll jog through these pictures. People can just listen to this too, kind of like a podcast form. Doesn't necessarily have to be.
So, what is it? King Solomon. King Solomon was able to speak with demons. And one time he asked demons about what are shooting stars. And the demon told him that shooting stars are demons listening to the angelic beings above the firmament. But because they can't, because there's nothing for them to hold on to on the inside of the firmament, they fall like lightning from the sky and they set the ground ablaze.
Dude, did you hear my chat with Stuntman Bear?
No, I didn't.
Shout out to Stunt, because we were talking about, I got into my astronomy kick again, you know. We were talking about what they are, you know, if they're not, like I said, for people, you know, for those with V damage, you know, like Big Bear likes to say, I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong. I know, and you're wrong, this and that. There, who said this? I forget. An historical figure said this. It's the mark of an intelligent mind to be able to ponder an idea without actually believing in it. And like you said in the beginning, you don't have to agree with everybody. I think it was Aristotle.
It could be Aristotle. Anyway, so
go ahead, Ladle.
It's from Testament of Solomon 113 and 114, but the short version is, for there are principalities and authorities and world rulers, and we demons fly about in the air, and we hear the voices of the heavenly beings, and we survey all the powers. And as having no ground or basis on which to alight and rest, we lose the strength and fall off like leaves from the trees. And men see us, imagine that they are stars falling from heaven, but is not really so, O king. But we fall because of our weakness, and because we have nowhere or anything to lay hold of. And so we fall like lightnings in the depths of the night, and suddenly, and we set cities in flames and fire and fields, for the stars have a firm foundation in the heavens, like the sun and the moon.
Wow, man, that's extremely gravy, and that directly hits on what Stunt and I was talking about. Like, what are they? And they're always falling down. You know, if we're corkscrewing through infinite blackness, turning like a top through the galactic plane, some of them would have to come up from the horizon. They would have to appear to come up. If we're spinning like we are, none of them do. It appears that they're falling from the firmament, and like you just said, it's probably fallen. The fallen. I posited that it might have been that, and I didn't know that Solomon. I knew that Solomon commanded the demons to help build
So,
the
do you know what
temple,
the
of course.
distinction is between the fallen and the demons?
Well, between the fallen watchers and the
Yeah.
actual demons, I don't. Ladle.
So, fallen watchers are angels. Demons are the spirits of the children that they made with humans. So, as humans and angels mated, they created the Nephilim, the giants,
Nephilim,
all
right?
of those. And those, because they were not created by God, were not allowed to pass on. So those, they're called wandering spirits. They are stuck here and they can't go anywhere else. And they have you ever heard of they do things like gluttony and stuff. So they always have this like hunger for things, but they can never satisfy that hunger. And so they roam about, messing with people, because they have nowhere to go. They can't go up, they can't go down. They will never be able to do anything until they are finally eradicated. But they are basically wandering spirits.
That's gravy.
Which gets into Shadow of Colossus.
Okay, yeah, we can get into that right now too. I'll drop that
Because
and then,
that is a huge truth drop game.
let's show some pictures. I think I've done a brief. So this game is another puzzle game for PlayStation 2. When I first got this, it was knock my socks off. It's a puzzle game, but you as the main hero and heroine, Wander, have to make a deal with this sentient being, Dorman, and Dorman backwards is Nimrod. And I'm going to show a clip of that right now. So what you got to do is he wants to save his maiden, who maiden has recently deceased. He stole a sword, this guy Wander right here, from a priest sect, and took it to a forbidden land in order to make a deal with this sentient being in a tower in the middle of this old realm. And he wanted to make this deal so he can have his maiden come to life. And the sentient being, Dorman, made him an offer, the Faustian deal, right? He said that I will make your maiden whole again if you travel throughout this realm and dispatch and kill all the colossus that were hidden throughout the realm. Now, not only is that such an epic story, this game and its visceral sights was unbelievable. So much so that I actually had to buy it for my PlayStation 4. So right now
I have it for mine. I replayed it.
So did I, bro. Did you play it
is
enough times so you can climb the tower?
It has roots in like even the Garden of Eden stuff, because what he was wanting to do was access forbidden knowledge, and the forbidden knowledge, raising the dead. You are not allowed to have that knowledge.
Necromancy.
He was trying to do it, and so it was forbidden, which is why he had to go through the struggles he did, and why things don't work out exactly the way he wants it in the end.
Right, exactly. Without giving too much, it effectively was a Faustian deal. And here's the game right here for you guys.
It's probably the best PlayStation 2 game ever made.
I might agree with that. I might have to. Well, let's talk about that.
It's not like Final Fantasy, but it's deep in a way that it's not all thrown in front of you. It has nostalgia to old school games where you don't get to see everything. So like things in the distance are like, you yearn to go there, but you can't.
Good point. Yeah, it's got like that, not like in an old house, almost a good metaphor, like the nooks and crannies. Like this realm has nooks and crannies, if you will. Like you can go through and dispatch all of the. I think there's like 18 Colossus. That'd be fitting for numerology, wouldn't it? You can go through all the whole litany of all the Colossus, dispatch them all, and still not see the entire realm that this thing. I mean, I just can't describe how epic this thing was. This is one of the tallest ones that you have. It's not even the last one, but you have. So here's the deal. Here's Wander. The plot. The goal is you got to find a way to climb onto these things and find their sweet spot, and drive your sword into their sweet spot. There's the tower. Okay. And now this is very similar. This is literally like a parallel to Babel in the Tower of Babel, because he makes a deal with Dorman. Again, Dorman is the you got a train
You got
going by.
dragons.
Love it. Yeah, it's got a dragon.
I swear it's got like 3 dragons, doesn't it?
Yeah, there you go. You got Phalanx. I'm going to show a clip of it. You got the Dirge, this is like underground. And then the Hydrus is underwater. So let's show a clip of that.
So speaking of dragons,
go
I
ahead.
was reading something about the whale that Jonah gets eaten by. I don't think it's a whale. I think it's what is it called? What is the first being that is made before man? Behemoth, and what's the other one called? You're muted.
The Leviathan.
Leviathan. I think that Jonah was swallowed by Leviathan.
Okay, dragon. So you'd say dragon. Yeah, I could.
Yeah, dragon. I don't think it was
Or
a whale,
Okay.
because the whale's not big enough. But Leviathan would have been one of the only beings big enough to swallow a whole boat with a human in it. If it's real. Yeah, I'm not saying it isn't, but. And Leviathan wouldn't have been killed during the flood either.
Good point. Yeah, like a serpentine in the water, right?
I
Yeah,
think Leviathan is the first and biggest dragon,
interesting.
which
So
is made before man.
that's biblical. Leviathan is in the Hebrew Bible, I believe, right? Or
It's Old Testament. Yeah, it's Genesis.
Old Testament. Yeah. And then also when Michael casts out Lucifer from the garden, it's Lucifer is in the form of a dragon. Yeah, so that's a good point, because Lucifer takes on the form of a dragon, and the whole thing of how that they changed certain things in the, whether it was the Council of Nicaea or whatever they did there. But interesting. So I'm gonna pick up on this deal here. We talk about the Faust. Everything's always a choice. Even when you think you're being forced, it's still a choice. So this is the beginning. When Wander, the hero of this game that we're talking about, makes his way to the actual tower to try to like LibertysteadBear said, it's a necromancy spell. Okay, yes, his intentions are good, but he's doing it in the scaffolding of a wrong setup. If that makes any sense here. So I'm going to play the clip of this and. More gaming for you. This is Shadow of the Colossus, the Faustian deal. Oh, sorry, I was muted. So if you look backwards, excuse me, sorry about that, y'all. Dorman backwards, Nimrod. You know, they do things in inversions. They spell things backwards, like Aleister Crowley and the OTO filth bullshit. So anyway, I'll be quiet and mute myself again. This is the deal with Dorman, Shadow of the Colossus.
Oil. I'll bet. You do. You bet, Sanada.
So I might have to stop in and break it up a little bit for copyrights, but make sure you read the subtitles. And I'm just doing this to prevent any possible interruptions that I might get for copyrights.
Hola. Hola. You do new.
You're muted.
Thanks, bro. Sorry about that.
So
That's the deal that he makes. Yep.
when I had brought up Colossus, Shadow of Colossus 2 last time, it was in reference to dolmens. Look up, see if you can switch over to Google search and look up a dolmen. I was watching a video on Shadow of Colossus and it talked about dolmens. And I was like, what is a dolmen? And as soon as you see it, you'll understand what it is. That's a dolmen. And those, if you go into the lore of dolmens, they say that they are made by giants and they're the entrances to necropolises, meaning cities under the ground. And I went into deeper into it and I found that it's southern Spain. They have mythology of these they're called Gentiles, but spelled with a J. And they were giants that supposedly were friendly with people. And it's crazy the stuff that I found just from this video game.
Wow. What's the video game? Or well, Shadow of Colossus, obviously, right? Yeah, that reminds me of something that shout out to Paul Cook, Oi Brava, was doing recently. Just off the top of my head, it reminded me of Poor Mountain. So yeah, Shadow of the Colossus, that one dude that looks like where are you at? Shadow of the Colossus. This guy. Where is he? So as you're walking up, as you're walking up to this guy, he looks like one of these from the ground. He looks like it's one of these things sticking up like an outcropping or a dolmen, if you will. And then all of a sudden he just like rises out of the ground. That's funny. So I've wondered that, like, Titans, are these things that are these, like you just said, the fallen angels? Are they, like in Noah, it shows them being fallen into the ground and then they get encrusted by the earth. Is that what these some mountains are? And you mentioned southern Spain. That I'll shout out Stelium 7. Stelium 7. His work in southern Spain on a building or a mountain called Mount Go. You're looking at it right now. He makes an excellent argument that could be a possible elephant. Now, those that were at the Tower of Babel in Jasher, we know that they were turned into monkeys and elephants. So these things aren't out of the realm of possibility.
So
we're talking about stuff like this. Yeah,
the
go ahead.
Gentil giants of the Basque region in Spain, they have some mythology around them connected to Messiah. And the story goes that two giants were, I don't know if they were playing or whatever they were doing, and they see a cloud of light coming from the east, and they go talk to the old wise giant. And the old wise giant says, that is, and I don't remember the name he used for Messiah, but he said, that is Messiah, basically, and that is the symbol of the end of our people. And he tells them to throw him off a cliff and to go hide under the mountains because their rule was over. And I got all of that from Shadow of Colossus, following the dolmen thing, finding out that they were called Gentiles in the Basque region in Spain, and then finding that story.
Wow, that's gravy. See, all that derived. This is why I like explaining the old school classic games and the truth drops that are derived from them, because there are truth drops in these games, and not just let's see, not just in music and movies. It makes me think of the clip from Horrible Movie, but the great scene from the old man in the piano from
Under Silver Lake.
Under the Silver Lake. I'm wondering if I should show that clip right now. It's like 3 minutes.
A good clip. I mean, it's dark, but it's a good clip.
It is a good clip.
Half a stock clip, basically.
Right, let's show it, because that kind of under old man under the silver.
There you go.
Appreciate you coax me on that one, because I don't know if I would have. Here we go. Let's see. This is a good one. It's 5 minutes. Let's play it. Give us some time here. So this is a scene from the movie Under the Silver Lake, where he's trying to find out a mystery, and he meets somebody. And
This
it's not
is what we call poison gravy.
Exactly. And this effectively is the essence of why we are interested in the whole gravy notion of truth drops, where you say lies in the news. I'll shout out RV Truth, old Russian vids. He always says lies in the news, truth in movies. And I expand that to media with what I do, not just movies, music, also games. The essence of what this old man is going to say here is effectively what we're talking about. There is truth seeded into these movies, or these songs, or even these spells, even these games. So sit back and listen and watch a really good piece of cinematic gravy here. Like I said, the movie kind of is whack, but in whack movies, there are good scenes. I'll just say that. Let's see if we get a commercial or not. I'll shut up and play it.
You wrote the song Turning Teeth?
No commercial. All right, let's go full screen. Whoa, sorry about that. I tried getting it before. So that was a little bit of a long video right there. But just like LibertysteadBear said, it's a good indicator of the Tavistock notion of things. Also, it might not be the ghost writer of Tavistock writing messages behind the Beatles song. Sometimes, like what we talk about in the bear community, stuff like logos being baked into the actual reality of things, and truth sometimes just comes out. Now that's what that old man was speaking of. The kid didn't understand what the man was saying when he was saying that is that Kurt. When the kid asked, he shows his ignorance, in my opinion. A little bit of a collative learning Rob Ager breakdown here. That's a great show to watch, YouTube channel for breakdowns of movies. Side note. The kid shows his ignorance when he asks if that is Kurt Cobain's guitar. Does anybody know what it actually is? And I'll ask the question to Gary Flessner. Good to see you, my man. Sorry, buddy. It's been a while. Tell Frank I said, quite frankly, I said hello.
Is that supposed to be the white horse?
It's
a white Mustang guitar.
Good question. I took it as a different interpretation. What is the
or pale horse, whatever.
What does the commenters and the viewers think when the kid? I have my opinion. I'll ask it. What is the guitar symbolize? I think I know, in my opinion, what I think it is. And then he realizes when the guy's telling him, I wrote this and I wrote this, when he's looking at the guitar, and then he looks up and that startling surprised look he has on his face. In my opinion, maybe it's all stolen. In a certain sense, it is. They're stolen what? Stolen souls. That is not Kurt Cobain's guitar. That is Kurt Cobain's soul. That's how I interpreted it. And that
was the Faustian deal, was that you think that you get all of this fame, but in return, your soul gets entrapped into this guitar. And
right. Your eternal soul is now damned, and he gets it. Not only is he spinning the ministry of the music, lacing the truth here and there, whether it's music or in he's also taking your soul on that Faust.
The original rebel was what? The head of the choir?
There you go. Right. Yes, Lucifer, the first fallen. Exactly. Right. That's why I believe that he symbolizes, actually. I believe he symbolizes the Luciferian archetype that is the commander of the fallen realm. You know, like when Bob Dylan says that he sold his soul, he really means it. In that interview, the famous interview that he says, let's see if we can, like, they really do that, y'all. You guys don't understand. Like, I showed it to my father. He's like, huh, you know, it's they take it as like parody or like hyperbole, you know. And they sold their soul to the commander of this world.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, you know, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
Yeah, what was your bargain? What do you like? They're literally telling you. And now, good old Bob here might be a thespian actor on the world stage. We can never know that. That being said, he is telling you what he did. Katy Perry did the same thing. They tell you. People, the regular normie will hear this and be like, oh. It's like, it's pretty dark, guys.
Get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in the world we can't see.
You ever look at music that
You're muted.
Dude, thank you for being on top of that. When Big Bear makes fun of him and does that song, sings like it, it's hilarious. I can't stop laughing.
It's uncanny how close the voice of the old man and Bob Dylan are.
Right? That's a good point. Seriously. So yeah, that's the whole thing. That's the essence of the truth drops in media. Now I'm gonna play a couple more clips just to give the viewers the in-depth or the foundation of the history of it. But another good, let's see, Ghosts. Another good way to look at this. One of the truth drops that I put out there before is I think one of the best ever. Ghost in Mario. You might have seen me lace this in the chat in the saloon. But what do we know of the ghost? What's a characteristic or a main trait of the ghosts in Mario? What do they do? What's the main thing that they do? Anybody in the chat can answer? Or what's the main characteristic? LibertysteadBear, you got it off the top of your head?
That when you don't look at that when you face them down, they lose their power.
That's right. The ghosts in Mario stop chasing when you face them. Now distill that and extrapolate that, apply that to your life. For me, it's another more subtle one too is like you tend to lose your life more when you go after the shekels or the coins. It makes it a little bit more treacherous for you when you try to chase the gold, right? Or the money. That's another truth drop. But I think another big one is literally the ghosts in Mario. They stop chasing you when you stand and face them. Now apply that to your life. That's what we're talking. Now it's not directly stated as such that's what it is. It's a truth drop or a metaphor for life in the game of Mario. It has to be extrapolated, and it can only be seen if you can see it, type of deal. You know what I'm saying? I think that's one of the biggest truth drops ever. So I'm going to continue the clips of this thing, and I'll play them all through, and then we'll wrap it up. We still got to talk about God of War. I want to get your take on that, and then we'll go to the next one right quick here. Let's get these out of the way to give the general front and back, long and short of the history, important points I took out from this documentary.
Bear needed his play device to fit on a shelf. So that didn't give his little brown box much room for processing power. He wasn't doing much better than old Higgy, just 2 dots moving on a screen. No way this was going to set the world on fire. Then it hit him. A blockbuster breakthrough that would blow the roof off of home entertainment forever. 3 spots.
The third spot became a ball that made it into a ping pong game or into a tennis game.
We heard that one. I'm going to go to the next one.
Long turned vertical.
Pretty soon, Jobs and Wozniak broke out of Atari to start their own little business. Apple Computer. Jobs asked his boss to invest in the idea. Bushnell declined. The company's capital was tied up producing home Pong units and developing their next home console concept. They called it...
The VCS, the Video Computer System, was the 2600 and became universally known as the Atari.
The idea behind the 2600 was to get away from having to build a whole new custom chip for every new game. So if we could make the game just be in a cartridge and software, we could release it much faster and much cheaper than we could with a whole new game.
Nolan needed big money to develop and launch the 2600. He got it by selling the company. And who became the breakout character. Plans were soon made to give the little guy with the mustache his own game. Everyone knew he had personality, but what he really needed was a name. American Nintendo chief Minoru Arakawa came up with the answer.
Originally, he was Jumpman. And the Nintendo's landlord out here, Mario Segali, pissed off Arakawa. So Arakawa renamed Jumpman Mario after Mario Segali.
And when Mario got his new name, he also got a new job as a plumber, along with a new brother named Luigi. And the Mario Brothers jumped into the arcades in a series of games that are still popular today.
And the ghost of Mario stop chasing when you face him.
Right.
I think this might be the last one.
Atari wasn't the only game in town anymore. More companies were making more consoles. Activision was making games for all of them. Magnavox had the Odyssey 2. Famous toy maker Mattel had Intellivision. Mattel's ads for their console featured intellectual literary figure George Plimpton.
I've been comparing the exciting new Intellivision space game Starstrike with one of the most popular Atari games, Asteroid.
Yes, they figured most Americans...
Now, this is interesting because not only do they lace truth drops, but they also lace propaganda. Keep this in mind. Keep propaganda in mind. Here you go. And notice how they closely associate it in time with the propaganda of the Globy stuff and children. Listen to this. I noticed that right away. It's like they're spelling and egregoring things to happen.
Americans had to be dragged away from reading War and Peace to play video games.
Starstrike features our most exciting visual effect, total destruction of a planet, which is why, after Starstrike, Asteroid features our most exciting visual effect, total destruction of a planet, which is why, after Star Trek, asteroids left me rather flat. Total destruction of a planet.
Then
You're muted.
Then another unlikely player showed up on the field. A plastic pool.
Right after the planet thing, directly after the planet thing, they say this.
Then another unlikely player showed up on the field. A plastic pool maker called Coleco.
We looked at this whole arcade position and believed that electronics, as it related to kids, was going to be a very, very important action. And believed that electronics, as it related to kids, was going to be a very, very important angle.
So they give you the propaganda of the globe, and then they say how the electronics related to kids. They literally tell you, we're trying to subvert your kids. Now, this guy might not even be maliciously in on it. It's just that's the whole idea of the logos baked in, or even the truth baked in. It's going to come out no matter what. The whole notion of the fractal universe, you put people with a certain worldview in certain positions and nodes, the fallen nature of that fallen fractal just happens in spite of itself, whatever. So some people might ask, oh, is everybody involved in it? No. When you have the fractal nature of the realm, things happen just like we say logos is baked in. So is the dark, unfortunately, and that manifests itself. Now, is this guy purposely trying to subvert children? Maybe, but we looking for those truth drops and seeing the patterns. For example, I just noticed that they incorporated the globe propaganda real close in tandem with saying how they're trying to get at the children. Am I making sense here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we started to work on a number of different products that used electronic chips as their heart.
And I'm an electronic quarterback. I start in the backfield and follow my blockers. Blockers? I don't have any blockers. Coleco.
Appealing to kids.
Those electronic quarterback.
We did the head-to-head series of dedicated games where you played against an opponent on the other side of the game.
Now we can play at the same time. I'm offense. I'm defense.
With head-to-head, you're really in the game. A power sweep. You pass. He blitzes. Intercepts.
This is real competition.
Then we did the miniature tabletop arcade games, which were miniature versions of Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. They looked exactly like the arcade games.
They were very successful, and that put Coleco on the road to developing more video and electronic games.
They're trying to get it into the household. See that? You notice that? Trying to get this technology from the arcades into the house. So that was the last of the clips I had. I just wanted to show that and get them all out. And the link for that documentary will be by tomorrow in the description below. So let me close this. So yeah, what did you have to say on that? Have any insight on
it? It's all from the medium of the screen. Most of what we think of as, in my opinion, everything we think of as the moon landing, planets, all of this stuff is all from the screen situation. So movies, video games, Michael Jackson, like what BB was talking today with the moon stuff, and it's all in this medium that you can get a lot of good truth out of, but it's all mixed in with the dark. And you really need to use discernment to filter through it. And I mean, personally, I was an absolute huge sci-fi fan, and I still am in some ways, but I have to take a step back and be like, this is all fantasy. And that's actually what I teach my kids, is that everything you see on TV is fantasy. You can't take any of it as real, because it is too easy to manipulate and to manipulate you.
It's great advice for your children.
So
listen,
what I want you to play is God of War trailer. So it's the PS4 version of the God of War trailer.
Oh, cool. Let's do it. Hold on one second. Let's find that PS4 trailer. There you go. Oh, no, YouTuber. Oh, we got dragons. So we'll get into God of War right now and start to wrap this up. What a great show.
So God of War is mixing Greek mythology with Norse mythology.
Oh, wow. Really?
So you're getting
Vikings.
You're getting Thor and Vikings, and you're getting all the mythology of the Greek as well.
Oh wow. Okay, let's so I'll play the trailer right now, and then we will talk about some gravy. We've hit a lot of marks here. The truth drops, old school games. We ran the litany of the consoles. God of War. We'll do images. So okay, here we go. We'll play. You got this? Have you been playing this? This is a while ago. Have
I
you
beat
played it?
this one, and I'm waiting. The next one comes out, I think, next month.
Oh, does it? Maybe I'll have to
And
put that
this
on
one
the list. Hey,
includes his son, so he actually has a son in this one. He loses his wife, which has the same kind of thing as Shadow of Colossus, Castlevania, Dante's Inferno. They're all about losing a loved one, and you're allowing your heart to draw you through the darkness, trying to settle something, but you're taking a Faustian deal in its place.
hero's journey, like you say. Or, the hero's journey could come into a fallen man's journey, right? It's not all.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that is the Eve story. Adam chose his heart and chose Eve over God, and in turn got forbidden wisdom that he wasn't meant to have yet.
And some might say Lilith. Okay, so it looks like we don't got a commercial. Let's put on the volume, and we're gonna watch the trailer for. So this is the newest one out. God of War.
This is the newest one out. The newest one, the sequel to this, is not out yet.
Okay, cool. Here
But
we
in
go.
my opinion, this is the best God of War game they ever made.
Really? Sounds
Yep.
like gravy.
Oh, there do I see my mother. Oh, there do I see my father. Oh, there do they call to me. Oh, there do they call to me. Oh, there do they call to me.
That bow's a little big for you, isn't it?
My mother made it for me. Said I'd grow into it.
Find your way home. You are free.
We're taking our ashes to the highest peak in the realms.
Ashes?
It was our last wish.
Where must we go?
To a realm beyond your own.
There's only one person who can get you where you need to go. They call me Mimir, smartest man alive. First, you need to cut off my head.
Wait, what?
That axe you got. You gotta handle her special.
I know you're a god. Not of this realm, but there's no mistaking it. He doesn't know, does he? About your true nature? Or his own?
The longer you wait, the more damage you do. He will resent you, and you may lose him forever.
You're next! I'll rip your head off!
There are consequences to killing a god.
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
Power of this weapon, any weapon, comes from here. But only when tempered by this. By the discipline, the self-control of the one who wields it. Open the door! We need your help!
This is no ordinary illness. The boy's true nature, your true nature, fights within him.
So I'm a man now. Like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater.
Can you kill something that big?
So in this one, Kratos has to go through the 9 realms of Norse mythology looking for Hercules and having to go after all of these Norse gods, and just to basically get to a mountaintop that the guy, I don't remember, the guy that loses his head helps them get there. Yep, and he has to go through all of these realms, each one of them. And I love how they mixed it in together, because Norse mythology is awesome. Even if I do personally believe it's all fallen angels, it is still, I still find gravy in it.
I agree. Yeah, there's only one God. As Christians, we recognize one true God, Most High. Jesus Christ, our Savior, God Most High, our Creator. That said, I also have a Viking heritage. My great grandfather was born in Oslo. My father did the my father did the blood test on my heritage before I can advise him otherwise. He was pinged at 50% Scandinavian, obviously Norway, because again, my great grandfather was born in Oslo. So I have that. I have that tendency to appreciate, at least study like crazy, the Norse mythology and Thor, and I'm a little bit more partial to Odin than I am Thor. But my name, Dustin, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but my name is derived from Old English, Torsten, which is derived from Old Norse, Thorsten, which means Thor's stone. So it's kind of fitting. My name means the stone of Thor, effectively. And my great grandfather was born now, so that's why I tout the whole Viking skull, skull Viking mark. When I put that super chat out today, shout out to Big Bear. Thanks for giving me that shout out for this channel. When I say skull, like Vox does, skull is a Scandinavian cheers. It doesn't necessarily have to mean you're cheersing mead. You're cheersing good intentions. Skull Viking mocked is cheers Viking power. So you'll see me say that a lot. For those that are very dogmatic with the Christianity, yeah, it is what it is. Christ is my Savior. I know my faith through Jesus Christ. I try to do and be as him every single day. I also, looking at life through the Norse mythology of things, like, for example, like I was saying, when Stuntman Bear, Loki archetype, mischievous, I liken him to he's like the ninja that throws a rock into the other's camp to observe the movements. You stir things up to see the essence of things. That doesn't denote a either malevolent or bad intention, nor does it denote a good or benevolent intention. It just is. That's what I think Loki represents. So you can understand the nature of the realm in certain ways through looking at the Norse way of things as well. But my faith is with Christianity. But it is, because of my history, my heritage, I do placate to it a little bit. So I hope people understand that. It doesn't usurp or overtake
the less I believe these things are myths. I
Right,
think there's a good chance that these things did exist, and they do exist in unseen realms.
Right. Or in other realms, yeah, like what's the extra land and everything. So that's interesting about God of War, dude. You kind of sold me on it. I'm probably gonna get that as the next game. Although right now, for example, so I'll show some. Let me get my mug up here. And solo layout. So I got some of my games. So here goes Shadow of the Colossus. Now with I got PlayStation 4. I didn't cap up on the PlayStation 5 yet. And I'm a big fan of getting the physical games. You can buy them on the actual store itself, but then you just have it's not like you get the physical thing. Right now I'm playing this one, Red Dead Redemption.
On mine right now too.
Yeah, I'm not online. I like playing the campaign. That's another thing. Like I don't need to be online. I do like playing sports games, but like Madden, obviously Go Bills. But I don't need to be online. I'll play if I could play my buddy, for example, like if you like playing Tiger Woods golf or football, I would play you remotely. That's a cool, like the whole online aspect of that is cool. Like for the Call of Duty and stuff like that, playing online, it doesn't really spark me. I'd like to play my buddy. That would be cool. Like I said, if you have online or whatever, I would work you in Madden, be in the Bills, but that's that's beside the case. So yeah, I got Batman. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, Shadow of
I was
War.
gonna say Shadow of War is one of the best Lord of the Ring games ever made.
Sick. I didn't think it could be much better. It's almost like a mix between like Prince of Persia
Yep.
and Assassin's Creed. I never played Prince of Persia or God of War, but I know how the layout is. I've seen people play Prince
Did
of
you play
Persia.
the second version of that?
No, I haven't even beat this. My wife
It's
gets a little
very
bit aggravated.
long.
It is it is a long game, and the way the battle mode scene, how you can get into and learn other people's moves and stuff like that. It's pretty insane. So Shadow of War, I got Skyrim, obviously for dragons.
Yep.
I got a whole bunch of them. Final Fantasy. So I do like buying the physical copy. And then here goes a gravy one. Dude, Assassin's Creed Origins was sick. That was a good one.
Almost all the Assassin's Creeds are good. It's rare to find one that wasn't.
You know which one sucks? I'm almost ashamed to say it.
The Viking one.
Yes, it's the worst one ever. Even the reviews, man. And I'm in the middle of playing it right now. I almost can't. It's so bad. The user interface is bad. Even like just searching around. I can't believe it. Go figure. It's almost like they did it on purpose. You know how Matt at Quantum of Conscience says that they purposely make things worse, like the Star Wars franchise, or literally just doing it so people hate it. I think they did that with Valhalla, unfortunately. My goodness.
I have to agree with you on that because
Good.
Couldn't get through it. It just frustrated me.
I'm not the only one on that one, so good. Yeah, God of War is interesting though. Like I said, you sold me.
That you're going to get a lot out of God of War.
Cool. I gotta beat the other games. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 right now. I beat the first one. That game's awesome.
Yep.
Red Dead Redemption is great. Call of Duty. Another one. Goodness, I can't forget this one. This was in the Hall of Fame too at the Strong Museum. Uncharted
is very good. It's basically a male version of Tomb Raider.
This was unbelievable. Plus, you want to talk about Finding Tartaria?
The movie is terrible.
Let me show a truth drop in this. Actually, this will be good.
Do you know the original name of the Great Wall of China?
You're gonna say Tartary, the Great Wall of Tartary?
It's the original name is the Ramparts of Gog of Magog, which is a giant that comes back at the end times.
Whoa, gravy! I wonder. That does sound familiar. And I shout out to a channel called Jared Boosters. He might have done that before.
He may have.
There it is.
Who else does really good stuff? Jay Dreamers.
Yeah, Jay. His knowledge base on quick recall of Jared Boosters. Check Jared Boosters out. I don't agree with everything that Jay Dreamers puts out there, which is cool.
None of us agree with everything anybody says.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that.
But it's not. He definitely has gravy.
Yeah, his knowledge base of knowledge recall of the old books, Bible, even the older apocryphal, spot on, like direct recall is like fascinating to me. Jay is nasty, and he has his knowledge base of the old information is insane.
And he doesn't beat you over the head with anything. He's very calm, cool, and collected with the way he displays stuff.
He's professional for sure about it. Absolutely. Now let me so I've done work before about cannons possibly being like these where is it? Like these little nozzles, cannons being possibly water cannons from back in the day. I think they washed a lot of the old cities down with cannons, not by shooting bombard ballistics, but I think that they actually siphoned water through these old cannons. I'm still working on that research. If you're not familiar, I did put out a couple of videos of that back in the day.
What is Greek white fire or something?
Well, Greek fire, it incorporates that. So here's the deal. Like if they were able to not just shoot, I think that the old cannons, like the old bombards of like when Sultan Mehmet II took over Constantinople, and it was the first time bombards were put on the scene. I've put research out before a couple of years ago that I think that those cannons were dual purpose. Now I never heard anything else about this. I think those cannons were dual purpose, that they were actually flushing water through them, and they were able to use them as massive pumps to inundate an area.
I think
And
that's a
now,
good thing that they did that.
if they can do water through it, they might have also been able to pump like a flaming liquid through it. But those things might have also been giant flamethrowers. Like that's if Byzantine stood for 1,000 years, maybe they did have cannons that threw fire. But I haven't heard any of that or seen any data on that, empirical data, other than my hypotheses. So I have more
Well,
work
I've
to do.
seen it was concept art, but I've seen stuff that they had ships that could throw fire, like out of the, you know how they would have dragon heads.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a thing. That was on the triremes, on the old Greek triremes. They had Greek fire mechanisms that would shoot out, and it was effectively, the technology is a combination of the flammable liquid mixed. I got more work to do. Shout out to Moon Jazz Bear. There's so much work stacking up for me. I got to do more on that. The what defines Greek fire is the actual liquid itself, which was flammable and could have fire on water. It would sustain fire on water. Also, siphon technology. They were able to siphon and push it out mechanically, just like you said, so it wouldn't get the ship on fire. It projected like projectile. And here you go. This is a clip from the ending of oh well, if it's spoiler, if you haven't beat the game, whatever. I think, for example, we can end it on this. I think this is showing us that what I just detailed to you. I think they do it in subtle ways. Not only do these cannons shoot cannonballs, I think that they also shoot water. Watch this clip, and I think you'll get at what I'm talking about. Bear with me. This is the ending of that game, Uncharted, that I just showed you. Awesome game. Talk about climbing on Tartaria.
Right.
And it's more like Romanesque buildings, Gothic, whatever, but we've distinguished that before. All right. And I'll play this, and we'll wrap it up. Okay, guys? Thank you for sticking with me. Everybody, Dragon Sage, my word. Okay, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, shout out Archaics. I don't watch Archaics at all. Shout out John Levi. Shout out Flat Earth British, Campbell Autodidactic. Yes. Thanks, Dragon Sage. So here's a clip from Uncharted, the ending. Is it trying to tell us something with the cannon? And you'll see what I'm saying.
All I ever wanted to do was find this treasure with you. Samuel, shut up. We did it. We did it, brother, okay? It's all right. There's maybe another way. Nathan, you gotta go. There's gotta be some. You gotta go! This is Thompson! There is no other way! Come on, Nathan, I gotta know you made it out all right. No. Nathan, the whole place is about to blow up! That's it. That's it! The hell you doing? You're stressing me. Damn it. Let's get your head down.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's that? What's happening there? Now, subtle, keeping in mind subtle.
Stress me. Damn it. Let's get your head down.
Okay, now I'm being a little facetious here and I'm trying to pull it out of you. I know that it's not shooting water out of it, obviously, but the visual, whenever my dad always said when you're watching a movie, anything that's on the screen, the director put it there for a reason, to make you think, or is it a double entendre? When I say double entendre, I mean one thing that has two different meanings. Okay, that can be in grammatical, or it can be, in my opinion, a visual double entendre. That's associated with truth drops, and I think that that's what we're being. He sparked off the cannon, and yes, it blew a hole in the ship to let water in, but effectively the visceral takeaway, I think, is it's also shooting water out. So there's no direct history of this, whatever, but there is subtle references. Like Big Bear recently referenced Dan Carlin and his hardcore history. I remember listening to him saying that the Mongols, of all people, the Mongols, the Tartarians, the barbarians, they would dam rivers up and divert them in the direction of a city or a village that they wanted to take over. What does that mean? That means some devastating ass shit. You dam a river up and divert it to a village, it'll flood out the village. Now, that's what you guys are seeing as a mud flood, y'all. In my opinion, it's more local. But after, you inundate a village with a river, there will be silt buildup on it. And after everything dissipates, it will look like, if it didn't completely destroy the village, it'll look like, the first level is filled up. Some people turn around and say that that was a one world, one global event. I disagree with that strongly. For example, there's a channel out there called Conspiracy R Us. You might recognize him by his intro. It's very similar to, "Hey, hello, everybody." That's Conspiracy R Us being a little bit facetious there, but he always says, and I disagree with him big time, that it looks like because people find, a fresco or a mosaic tile floor in Rome under 1 foot of mud, they automatically will say, "Oh, it looks like it was a one cataclysmic worldwide event." I'm like, take a step back, pump the brakes. There's a lot more going on. And I think I've showed that in a lot of my work that I present. So I'm getting off on a tangent here. But Truth Drop and Uncharted, are cannons more than just cannonball shooters? Do they siphon water through them? And if they can siphon water through them, could they siphon Greek fire through them?
I think that's one of the reasons why I actually enjoy talking with you so much, because I have changed my mind on things as well as I have learned more information. So things I thought I knew, I have changed on over time. And just like you, as you did more research, you're like, I used to push the Tartarian, mud flood stuff, but then you backed off because you're like, I don't know if this is right anymore. I'm not just going to hold on to it because I want it to.
Dude, I appreciate you noticing that. Literally.
The Mongol thing. Do you think that that's another side of how they call, blacks? What do they call them? Savages.
What did you just say? Excuse me?
So
did
savages, Mongols, they are painting a picture that isn't necessarily reality, like what BB was talking about.
Yeah.
Savage in the city, but based in the jungle.
Right. I think it has a lot to do with that. Everything was whitewashed, and that Tartaria was effectively just a territory, Tartar territory, barbarian. They called Gauls barbarians, and they called the Asian horde of from the steppe. Oh man, Attila the Hun. They were all barbarians.
Weren't some of the Germans called barbarians too?
Everything was from anybody outside the Roman state.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
From Gaul to the Orient, it was just somebody other. In Japan, they call it a gaijin. Okay, a barbarian. A gaijin is what you're called in Japan if you're a foreigner. Gaijin, foreigner, outsider, barbarian, Tartarian, tract of land outside of Rome, if you will. So effectively it's a blanket term, but I addressed that like a year and a half ago when I changed my name from Bushwhacking Tartaria to Bushwhacking History. And I'm on record with that from Woody of Wood and Nichols. Shout Wood and Nichols out. Now Dragon Sage is dropping everybody's name in here from Kingdom Come here. I appreciate that, Dragon Sage, but please don't spam I really respect you and what you do. Don't spam all this stuff. People I don't even listen to. I don't listen to this guy. Flat Earth British, I'll shout out to Martin. John Levi puts out okay work recently.
I can't do his tone.
Campbell from Autodidactic,
Yep, Autodidactic.
Yeah, I appreciate you dropping that stuff, Dragon Sage, but you went a little bit crazy with all these posts. Anyway, yeah, so boy, what a great show. LibertysteadBear, you got any final thoughts? Got the detailing the God of War. I appreciate that. Like I said, you probably sold me on it. And Truth Drops in Media. That was I hope you guys learned something. Come to my channel. That's one of the main things I like you to do is learn something, get out in the field and walk on what you study. That's one of the main tenets. Check out your books. I got a lot of books. I'm blessed that I had a library for my grandparents. Don't just be relegated to sitting behind the keyboard and doing side scroll pictures. If you want to be taken seriously, in my opinion, in this niche of alternative history research, fortunately, I'm in the city of Buffalo, which you can see on your screen here. This is actually one of the main areas that I'm focused on for anomalies. Is the Erie Basin Marina, is the top rocker picture on my YouTube channel. I'll track that back and we'll close this out. You guys can get to my IG from that top picture right down here. But I'm grateful that I live in Buffalo because it's a good cross section of all the different topics that we talk about in alternative history, whether it's the mud flood, whether it's the architecture, impossible architecture. I say that in quotes because I never thought it was impossible architecture, just improbable per the given history of the location. We're capable of a lot as human beings. So Buffalo is a good cross section of all the old world tenets that we look up. Again, whether it's mud flood, the architecture, the infrastructure from the Erie Basin Marina to the Erie Canal to what's going on in the river. So follow me if you like history and you have things don't add up, so to speak. And then I'll incorporate bears such as LibertysteadBear, and I have another one coming up soon about the International Bridge here in Buffalo. You'll appreciate this, dude. Toronto Jew Bear, I have him on the case trying to possibly get some data from Canada that I might need because I don't buy the official story for what they say the building of the International Bridge here in Buffalo. So again, I'm grateful that I have the city here and I'm within it because I can get out in the field and walk on what I study. I don't just sit behind my computer. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but you got to rub your nose on it if you're going to be taken seriously, especially if you're going to be going up against the mainstream, the bottleneck of mainstream academia. So I've been ranting. LibertysteadBear, you got any final thoughts, or you want to shout out anybody or tell people where to get at you? You got any plans for making videos, or what do you have on the horizon? What's up?
So I'm going to try to start doing scripture gravy. And it's things that a lot of times when people bring up scriptures, they just bring up the same things over and over and over again. And I'm really into
similar to the research field. Sorry.
Extra biblical, not extra scriptural stuff. So just because it's not in your Bible doesn't mean it didn't belong there. And so there's a lot of truth that a lot of things get pulled from those old stories. My biggest thing, and I think it fits perfectly with the Bears, because we are the biggest sleuth on the planet. My favorite verse is 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things and hold fast to that which is good.
Amen to that. I like that. I'll mention one of my favorite ones is Isaiah, book of Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 8. And then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. That's real powerful for me because I'm always I'm always that guy to stick my chest out and be like, I'll do it. I might be more reserved and kind of a quiet dude to step back and play the wall. But if the opportunity comes up, I always like to, as you say, sometimes you got to grab the bull by the horns. And I'm named Berserker Bear for a reason. I'm the dude to get out there and do it. So that one always resonated with me. I like that one a lot. And I'm glad that you brought up a Bible quote because I piggybacked off of it. So yeah, that was another episode of Bushwhacking History with Berserker Bear, special guest LibertysteadBear. Hope you enjoyed the history, long and short, of the gaming and pop culture through the lens of a truther / bear / faithful unbearables over here. Thanks again, LibertysteadBear, and thanks again for everybody in the chat for showing up. I see Bill Miller is here. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the work that you do. Solid work. Everybody go check out Bill Miller. His presentations and quality top notch. Matter of fact, he did some great work on the fire of Irish fire, Belfast maybe it was, proposing the idea that maybe there was the utilization of Greek fire in that thing too. So check out Bill Miller Flip. Great work. So without further ado, my YouTube channel, get to my IG. In between videos, which is my next episode that I got to do is the International Railway Bridge. Check out my Instagram. In between videos, I post a lot of pop culture stuff there, like you can see on the screen there. And yeah, without any further ado, we're gonna call that a great episode, gaming episode. We finally got it done, LibertysteadBear. It's been on the back burner simmering for a minute, but we got some good feedback. Jordan said, my brother-in-law, great show. So yeah, what we're gonna do is I started off. I posted on my IG the Berserker Bear, the mad one where he's mad.
Oh yeah, where he gets pissed.
Ah! Oh my God!
What we're gonna do, I have it's a good one. I actually have Berserker Bear does it with kindness. So what we're gonna do is I'll play that one to tail out the show. So this was an episode of Bushwhacking. Stay on afterwards, LibertysteadBear, because we can rap a little bit and shoot the breeze afterwards. Okay. But for the viewers, thanks again. That's been an episode of Bushwhacking History with Berserker Bear and LibertysteadBear. I'm gonna end it with Berserker Mario with kindness. After it's over, that's the episode. So thanks again. Please like, share, subscribe. Keep an eye out for my next episode coming about the International Railway Bridge. I have serious questions about the construction of the pier foundations in the Niagara River. Okay, so that was it. Hope you like it. God bless. I'll report back. And in the meantime, keep it sleuthing. Berserker Mario with kindness. Let's go.
Ah! Oh my God!
Oh, thanks for chopping down that overgrown vine, Mario. It was really messing with the feng shui.
Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another...
Cool! I'm so big now!
Superstar! Okay, this is just what I need to complete my cosplay outfit. Whoa! How can I ever thank you? How about this egg? I've got a good feeling here.
I like that sound, brother. Gosh, this sure will come in handy at the construction site.
Oh, he's so cute! I'm gonna name you Buttons.
Here, take my cloud. It'll help you continue to make the world a better place.
Thanks again for the wings.
We need to get out of here. Start the car. I said get in the damn car. We need to get Mario a thank you card for all the nice stuff he's been doing.